Yeah, it's a very, very interesting question. The question is, when you have people like Hamas, where a lot of the people were literally indoctrinated, they were brainwashed from a very young age to hate Jews, to want to kill Jews, and then they grow up and they become murderers and they become terrorists. So the question becomes, how does Hashem judge them? Does Hashem say, hey, you guys are Nazis, you guys are Hitlers, therefore you get the biggest punishments that one can imagine? Or is there some side of mitigation given the fact that they were brainwashed? So it's very interesting. So first of all, we do have to differentiate between, let's say, the leadership of Hamas and maybe the rank and file followers. The leadership are sitting in Qatar with billion-dollar estates and enjoying the fruit of the land while they're ordering their followers to do suicide missions and everything else. So certainly I don't think the leaders get a pass at all. With respect to the rank and file, again, this may be a little controversial. I think the one thing HaKadosh Baruch Hu Vadai looks at a person's background, he looks at the difficulties. And that will be a mitigation factor, there's no question. But it's not an excuse. And the very proof that it's not an excuse is from the guy I referred to more than once already, son of Hamas, or Green Prince, whatever he goes by. That guy, very, very fascinating person. He was a son of one of the founders of Hamas, who was arrested in Israel for terrorism. And he underwent literally a conversion. Talk about Baal Tshuva. He became a spy for Israel and Hamas. And now he goes around and talks about it a lot, and he's very, very pro-Israel. Although it's kind of amazing why there's not a fatwa against him, but apparently he goes around and does this. So the chiddush of that is that you see that even the person who's brainwashed from youth has the koach to make the right decisions. And therefore Hashem will hold people accountable for not making those right decisions. I've mentioned a number of times the famous ha'ara of Rabbi Nissim Gaon at the beginning of Maseches Brachos, where he points out that the people of Sodom were punished for not being charitable. And even though charity is not one of the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach, so why are Goyim responsible? He said a human being is supposed to figure certain things out. And if he doesn't figure certain things out, then Hashem will hold him accountable. So this doesn't totally answer your question, meaning my answer would be, for sure they will be accountable and punished for their rishus, but it won't be as chamor as the person who made a premeditated choice, because you are correct. Their bechira has been taken away from them. Now, you might be thinking right off the bat, well, maybe this is similar to a Paro situation, right? The famous question where it says Hashem hardened Paro's heart, and then Hashem punished Mitzrayim. And the Rambam asks the kasha, if Paro didn't have bechira, how could there be punishments? But the Rambam's answer doesn't cover this situation. The Rambam's answer was that for the first 5 plagues, Paro hardened his own heart. And therefore the Rambam says, if you repeatedly go against Hashem, eventually you lose your capacity of bechira, but then you'll be accountable for everything you do, because after all, it came from your bechira in the first 5. So that doesn't really cover that you can't. I don't think you can use the Rambam to cover your situation, because the kids who were indoctrinated from the age of 3 never had a bechira that they were choosing to assert in a good way, right? So it's different than Paro, who initially had bechira and then lost it as a result of his rebellion. So it is an excellent question, but as I say, one way of looking at this is that we're not going after Hamas in revenge for their being bad people. We're going after Hamas because it's like a rabid dog that you have to kill. Meaning the issue is not, Hashem will deal with punishment, but our issue is not punishment. We are not into punishing Hamas. We are into eliminating a threat. Now, at that point, it makes no difference if it's a rabid dog or whatever it is. You have to destroy that which is a threat to humanity or to the threat of Am Yisrael. See, it's very, very important that the law of Rodef and the laws of Milchama that says we destroy an enemy is not based on punishment. In fact, even a katan can be a Rodef. If, God forbid, you had a little kid who was wielding a gun that could go off any second, the halacha would be you could do whatever you have to do to disable the child, including killing him. So it's not a question of fault or rishus, it's a question of danger.